what we'll do today, before moving and doing the hands-on on the EC2, we can see is the computing section is the very big section, the largest section in the AWS. Okay, so whatever the service we're going to cover in the EC2 section, we have to learn lots of things related to the computing. Okay, so it will take quite lots of time, almost around 4 to 5 classes to complete EC2 alone. But don't worry, I'm not going to cover the entire 5 day next days on EC2. What I'll do, I'll just segregated this in a different parts, and we'll continue with first basic things, creating EC2 instances and working on that, and the rest of the things we'll cover later. Okay, so before that, let's see what exactly the EC2 is. So what is actually EC2? So you guys might have some knowledge now on the cloud. What is the cloud computing? Okay, a cloud computing platform. What is the benefits of using that? What are the services, the type of services? Okay, the key terms of the clouds and all these things we already have discovered and discussed. Okay, so uh, anybody saying anything? No. Okay, so what we'll do here, so what is EC2? So EC2 is the imagine elastic cloud compute, elastic cloud compute you can say, or elastic compute cloud, or elastic cloud computing you can say. Okay, EC2 is a web service that provides secure resizable compute capacity in the cloud. Secure resizable compute capacity. So when we say resizable, that means the server whatever we get it, right, you can choose as per your need. You can resize whatever configurations you need. Okay, so what is this EC2? Again, it is a computing platform. So when you say computing platform, your laptop, your desktop would be your computing platform, right? So your desktop, what it will have? You'll have the operating system, you will have the memory, that is RAM, right? You will have hard disks like the storage device, you will have the networking card, all the other stuffs you will have in your laptop, and obviously the hardware things. And in this EC2 we are not going to get anything about the hardware parts because everything will be managed by the AWS. Only we are going to use the EC2. And suppose how you will choose EC2, how you will choose the computing platform, it's up to your requirement. So whenever you go to a market, think about your personal life.
Ranjit, your PPT is not visible actually.
Yeah, okay, thank you, Sanjay. Let me say it. So whenever you go to the market, okay, so what will happen? What you have to, you're going to market to buy a laptop or to buy a desktop. Okay, to buy a laptop or to buy a desktop. So what will happen? What you have to choose? You have to choose the first the brand, right? The company, the service provider, which going to give you the service, which company you are going to choose. Now you got it. Then you have to look about the configuration. So what is the compute capacity, right? What is the compute capacity that you need? That compute capacity means you need, suppose Windows operating system, Windows 10, or suppose you need Ubuntu Linux machines, and of 8 GB of RAM, or 12 GB of RAM, or 500 GB of storage, or 1 TB of 1 TB of storage. Okay, all these information, or 2 point something processor, this kind of processor, whatever Intel processor or ARM processor or whatever the processor you need, all these things you have to look after these configurations, and then you have to buy the laptop or the desktop, right? Similarly, in the cloud market also, you have to choose which service provider you want to buy it. Again, we have to think about the pricing factor also, right? All the informations, all the configurations, whatever you need, how much they are going to how much you are going to pay for the product you are buying, right? Same thing also in the cloud market. You have to choose the service provider first, then you have to go for the services, and you have to think about, suppose you are going for a computing resource, going to get a server, going to get a machine, then you have to think about the computing power, the computing resources. Okay, so EC2 also provides similar kind of services, like the storage, the memory, the OS, everything it provides to get a server. So EC2 mainly used to get a computing resources, you can say the machine or the server. Okay, so what are the EC2 options available? So we have on-demand reserved EC2 instance, on-demand EC2 instance, reserved in EC2, spot, dedicated host. Okay, so what happens on demand? It allows you to fixed rate by the hour or by the second with no commitment. Allow you to pay fixed rate by the hour or by the second with no commitment. Okay, so fixed rate on demand, whenever you are going to demand something, then you have to pay a fixed price for that. For reserved, we are going to provide you with a capacity reservation. That means you are going to reserve some capacity, reserve some compute power in the cloud. So what happens, it provides you capacity for reservations and offer a significant discount on hourly charge. Because on demand, whenever I'll elaborate more detailed. Okay, I'm just giving you hints on this. Okay, suppose reservations means you are going to reserve for 1 year, 2 years, or 5 years. Obviously you have to pay less for that. Comparatively getting things for fewer days, you will get higher, you have to pay higher amount or higher values for that. But if you are reserving something for a longer term, they'll give you discount, right? You have to pay for less. And spot instance enable you to bid whatever price you want for instance capacity. They have also spot bidding, and you are going to bid, but at that price I want the instances. And dedicated host, physical EC2 server dedicated by your use. Dedicated host can apply use reduce by allowing your use existing server bound software license. That dedicated host will be actually, if we are going to add some kind, you can say the private instances. Okay, you'll go for a dedicated physical EC2 server dedicated for your use. So let's see more details on each options. Okay, on demand is perfect for users that want the low cost and flexibility of Amazon EC2 without any front-end payment or long-term commitment. Okay, perfect for users that want the low cost and flexibility of EC2 without any front-end payment or long-term commitment. So we don't have to commit for long term or no front-end payment, like on demand. Whenever you need, you get it, pay for that and use it, and you don't need, leave it, and you don't have to commit anything. You simply get it and use it, pay for that. That it's best suite for pay as you go. Use it, pay it, leave it. Okay, now applications with short term like spiky or unpredictable workload that can be interrupted. Like if you are an e-commerce company, okay, and you know that e-commerce company, if any kind of functions, right, in kind of regional, you can any kind of festivals, whatever, we used to provide lots of offers, discounts, right? Some offer mela will be going on, right? That time what will happen, lots of customers will be there. That's unpredictable. Customers will come to your application to use your application, and it will unpredicted, the workload will be increased suddenly, and you need immediately another resource to be added. So on demand, you will immediately go and get it, use it for a few days, the festival to over, the customer to reduce, then you can remove that server or remove that resources from your applications. Okay, on demand you'll go for that. So applications being developed or tested on EC2 for the first time, better for development purposes. You're going for a small project, you got a small project and you need it to develop for a few days, get it for a few days, work on that, then done, you can leave it. So applications being developed or tested on the Amazon EC2 for the first time. Then next one is the reserved instances. Applications, what is this reserved instances? Reserved instances, applications with steady state or predictable usage. Applications with steady state or predictable usage. That means you are sure that whatever customer you received or you got it that will be at least for next 5 years or for next 10 years. Then you need a server that then you can go for a dedicated and reserved instance, so that you have to pay less for that. Applications that require reserved capacity and users can make an upfront payments to reduce their total computing cost even further. You can directly give in for 5 years commitment, right? You are reserving for 5 years. So immediately you have to make the payment. I'll get lots of discount there. Okay. So that is the reserved instances. And we have the spot instances. When you go for spot instances, applications that have flexible start and end times, applications that are only feasible at very low compute price, users with an urgent need for large amounts of additional computing capacity. In that time you have to go for spot instance. And dedicated host will be useful for regulatory requirements that may not support for multi-tenant virtualization. So we are actually one tenant in the AWS cloud, because we are going to get some rent from the AWS compute capacity. As we are going to get one EC2, that means we are renting some space on AWS platform. We are renting some space on the AWS platform, but that is for public use. Whatever space we are giving, suppose you'll go to a simple example, if you go to a PG, right? So you can go for three room sharing, 2 room sharing, or 4 room sharing, right? That means the PG owner is your AWS and your house is the network place, and you are going to get some space in that area, in that particular house. Suppose 4 members are going to use that particular virtualization but particular space, and you are going to get one space from that. But for dedicated, suppose you have house for single use like 1 bedroom, you have to go and reserve that one, or you have to dedicatedly use for you. You have to only you have to stay there only. You're not sharing your room with anybody. There will be no multi tenant, only you have to pay rent for the entire house, entire room. Okay, that is the dedicated room for you, dedicated host. Useful for regulatory requirements and may not support multi-tenant virtualization. Great for licensing which does not support multi-tenancy and cloud deployment. Can be purchased on demand hourly. Can be purchased as a reservation for up to 70% off on demand price. If you are getting on demand dedicated host, you can purchase it hourly basis. If you are going for reservations, one dedicated host reservation, and you have to 70% off they are providing on the on demand price, whatever on demand price. On top of that, they are providing 70% off. So if you are going for on demand, you have to suppose paying 100 rupees, then you have to pay 30 rupees for dedicated host for if you are reserving it. Okay, that's a very good benefits they are providing. Now this about the type of or EC2, different EC2 options. Okay, now let's see what is this instance type. Okay, so as we are going to get EC2 instances, this is called instance. Okay, whenever you are going to use the service called EC2 instance. So what is the EC2 instance. So we have in different instance types. Okay, so Amazon EC2 provides a wide selection of EC2 instance types optimized to fit different use cases. So what type of instance means, if you think about and relate with your real-time purchase of laptop or desktop, whenever you go to the market, if you purchase a laptop, you have to see what is the configurations of the laptop. There will be various laptops available and you have to see what is the configurations. Based on your project need, based on your requirement, you have to choose one laptop and come home. Similarly, you in EC2 also, in AWS there is different EC2 instance types, and each instance type provides different configurations. Based on your company need, based on your project need, you have to choose what type of instance you need. Okay, so instance types comprising various varying combinations of CPU, memory storage, and networking capacity, and give you the flexibility to choose appropriate mix resources of your applications. What I just explained you about laptop. You have to choose what type of instance, and each instance type will have different kind of CPUs, setups, memories, storage, and all this. Each instance type includes one or more instance sizes, allowing you to scale your resources to the requirements of your target workload. Okay, so we have here a documentations on this instance types. Okay, you have to get, or if you need all the informations related to your instance types, you can just go ahead and get the EC2 instance types here. You'll get all the information about the, see, if you want for general purpose. Okay, so this is the general purpose EC2 instance types. Okay, so what happens, if you see here, they provides OS, Mac OS also, okay, EC2 Mac instances. For that, suppose you are going for general purpose, suppose you are going for T2. Okay, for if suppose going for T2 nano, T2 micro, see, number of CPUs 1. If you go for T2 nano, see 1, and CPU credits 3, memory like the RAM gigabyte, the memory 0.5 gigabytes. Okay, and if you go for T2 micro, it gives 1 memory 1 GB. And similarly, you can go for, suppose how you will choose it here based on the project. If you are going for a laptop with 8 GB RAM and you need 2 CPUs should be there, and there should be storage of 500 GB, then you have to choose the instance type this, and then you have to add the storage. It says EBS only, it provides the storage, then EBS volumes you can add it later and you can expand it whatever you need. Okay, similarly, if it is for general purpose, if you need more compute optimization, you got your company, your organization got a good, very big project, and it is required more computing power. You need more compute optimized system. So what you need, then you have to go for compute optimized section here, and this is the instance type. This is the type of instances for compute optimized. Okay, if you see this one, see, it has 128 of GB memory, right, and 64 CPUs, very big, right? If you are going to use this one for a large amount of project, for large organization, then you have to choose on that. Similarly, you have to pay for that based on the charges, right? And we have also memory optimized. If you need more power to the memory, okay, this is compute optimized, this is memory optimized. See, it is giving 305 12 GB of memory, 512 GB of memory, and maximum I think it's give 512 of 512 GB of RAM, okay, memory. So if you need accelerated compute, storage optimized, okay, storage optimized, the number of storage it gives, okay, storage optimized. And if you gives it gives like instance featured and all. So for storage optimized, you can see here it gives 1 into 937 AWS Nitro SSD. 937 GB. This is 1875 GB nitro SSD. Okay, this is what the if you need the storage part. Okay, now what we need here, based on the instance type, you have to choose whatever compute power you need. Either you need more memory, you need more storage, you need more compute optimization, or for general purpose, all these things you can find it over here. Okay, so you have to follow these documentations. Always remember, the best practice is whenever you are doing, either you are doing a solution architecting, or you doing very AWS development developer, or you are working as a production support or anything, you have to follow these documentations. Okay, there AWS always updating their official documentations, so that you can get all up to date informations over here only. And whatever things you need to compare and use it, you can come here, compare the stops, and choose the appropriate instance types. Okay, now this is all about the instance type. Okay, so this EBS section, guys, will just learn little later. First, let me create the basic things to create a server, or create a machine. Then we'll talk about this EBS things and all. Okay, let let me go ahead and do the lab classes here. So just log into your AWS management console. Okay, I have logged into my AWS management console. Go to the compute section. Go to the compute sections. You can see here the compute sections over here. Click on this compute sections and you can find this EC2 instance over here, EC2 section, EC2 service. Or else you can search the EC2 service over here, EC2. Okay, if you search here, you will get the related service informations over here. Okay, and just click on here. Okay, and you'll be landed into the EC2 dashboard, EC2 management console. Okay, EC2 dashboard. So where you can find all the informations related to the computing. Okay, now let me just go through that 1 second. So here, if I go here, the instances running, right? Just wait for a few seconds. It's just let it load properly. Okay, and by the time it's loading, we can see it here. We have, okay, the thing is, whenever I create the account, as I told, whenever you log into that, by default it should go to the region, which region you had created your account, right? But if you see here, I have been landed into Northern Virginia region. That's why I could see there are no instances. Why I came to know that the region has changed, because I remember I had few instances, 1 or 2 instances created in my account, but here I could see it is 0. Then I thought like maybe it could be due to some region changes. Then I saw it here, it is in different region. Remember, EC2 is strictly region based. That means whatever the server you have to create, you have to choose which region do you want to create the server, create the EC2 instances. Okay, now let me choose. I don't want to create any EC2 instances in Northern Virginia. Instead, what I'll do, I'll choose Asia Pacific Mumbai to create the EC2 instances. Okay, when I select, it will load and it will give me the management console related to the Mumbai region. Okay, just wait for a few seconds, let it load fully. Okay, so what you can see, by the time it is getting loaded, we can see here in the left hand side. Okay, we have in the dashboard, in the left hand side nav bar, we have lots of things available here. Okay, and in the resource dashboard, it has come up now. In the dashboard sections, in the middle pan, you can see here, then content side, we have the number of resources running, number of instances created, number of volumes, number of key pairs, security groups, everything will display on this dashboard itself. Okay, now in the left hand side nav bar, you can see here EC2 events, tags, and all these informations, all the related to instances, type of instances. Okay, launch template, all the informations you can find it over here. AMIs. Okay, what is this image? Okay, we'll talk about just a few minutes. After a few minutes we'll talk about all this. Okay, then EBS, I was showing you that EBS part will discuss little later. It has lots of things to learn. It will take 1 day of classes to complete the EBS alone. Lots of things to learn: how to create the volumes, how to create the snapshot, how to take the backups, which is in the production support guys. They may be working in the database side or in the server side, whatever the things, how to take the snapshot of server or the snapshot of an applications or anything, whatever the volumes, and then store it, and take the backup and store in a different region. All these things will learn as part of this EBS. Okay, it will take quite uh, mm, uh, 1 day or 2 days of time to complete. Okay, the entire EC2 will take 5 classes, 5 to 6 classes, I think. Okay, and we have also network security parts. We'll discuss about this security parts, elastic IP parts, and all. And also we have this load balancing and auto scaling. This also will take 1 day of 2 day of classes. Okay, fine. So we are not going to complete in one shot everything. We'll segregate it, and part by part we'll complete the EC2 part 1. Okay, now we focus on the instances part. Let's see. So what is that instances? As I was showing the instance types, we have here also the instance types available. If you click it here, you will come to know what type of instances available to use. Okay, and also it will give you the price informations. It also will give you the price information. Okay, so along with, because whenever you are choosing, so sometimes let me close unnecessary windows actually. But last, okay, previous batches I had opened all this. Okay, let me close. Here it is. Okay, now you can see how many tabs are there. Okay, 8 number of tabs are there, and 359 type of instances available. 359 types of instances available. You can search the instance over here, and you can find the instance types. You can find the instance types over here. Okay, suppose you are going to use T2 medium. Okay, number of CPUs, you can find it over here. Okay, and you can see here the number of what is the architecture. This is the core i3 86 and 86 processor. Okay, and 64 processor here. Memory 4 GB of RAM. Okay, storage will be as part of your EBS adding volume addition. It will be added. It is not displaying. It's up to you how much you need, but this instance will provide, this instance type will provide this much of memory, but the storage is up to you how much you want. Okay, now here it has the pricing informations also. You can see the pricing informations per hour on demand Linux machine. If you are going to get it, Linux server or Linux machine, you have to pay 0.049 USD per hour. So remember, there could be a questions. It will be charged hourly basis. Okay, suppose you created an instance and you are used 1 hour or 2 hours, then you have to pay for 2 hours only. If you stopped it or you terminated it, you don't have to pay anything. So hourly basis, best they're charging it. And the next one is Windows pricing. If you see here, the Linux pricing is little less than the Windows pricing. Windows pricing is 0.0676 per hour. Okay, so you have to pay this much. Similarly, if you go for higher, if you go for larger instance type 96 CPU 192. Similarly, you have to pay that much amount. See, per hour you have to pay $4 4.752 USD per hour. For Windows you have to pay 9.168 USD. Okay, see, this is how much, this is the amount which your company they are paying if they are using the AWS services. Okay, so as a solution architect, you have to compare the pricing, as pricing is the major factor of designing any solutions. Okay, you have to think about the pricing first. Okay, and then based on your requirement you have to choose the thing. Now what we have to see it here, this is the instance type. Now you can find the number of what type of instance you need. You can go ahead and get it here. Let's go ahead and see the instances here. If I click the instances, we'll see the instance dashboard, instance window, where you can find the number of instances available. And this account, I have one instance is available, but it is stopped. I am not running this machine. Okay, now let me show you how we can create or launch an instance. Okay, how we can create a server or a machine. So it is very simple. Just go ahead and click on the launch instance. Okay, so all this part carefully guys remember. Okay, and just listen carefully. You have to remember all this. First things I was talking about the image, right? AMI. So what is the image? So what is the image or what is the AMI? So AMI is the Amazon machine image. Amazon machine image. So an AMI is a template. Remember, an AMI is a template that contains the software configurations. That means the operating systems, what operating systems you need, the application server, the required softwares, required binaries, required libraries. Everything will be combined and put together and create one binary file. That's called the image. Okay, and you would be having the, see, the previous days, if you think about how we do install the operating systems, right? We install by having the disk, right? CD or DVD, whatever we had, and then it came with pen drive also. We used to install like with the ISO file. .iso file will get the .iso file, download from somewhere or get it from friend, and then we'll plug into the laptop or desktop and then we install it. And nowadays the images are available in the internet itself. You simply get and use it, that image, to create and install the operating systems in your laptop or desktop, right? You can do that one. Okay, now here in the cloud, also in the AWS cloud service providing, it also provides the images with the part of is a set of, actually as a kind of a template which having all the sets of operating systems, all the required components available. Okay, so that's what you have to choose the image, which kind of operating systems and the package you need. Either you need Amazon Linux, you need Ubuntu, you need CentOS, you need Red Hat, you need Windows, you need Mac OS, whatever you need. You have to just look into this market. Okay, you have to search in this tab here. If suppose you need Ubuntu, search for Ubuntu. Okay, and hit enter. You will find Ubuntu. See, Ubuntu related images. You find all Ubuntu related images, and also you can see here we have the AWS marketplace 1193 images available for Ubuntu. Community AMIs 17,904 images available. So AWS marketplace means these images are managed by AWS, created and managed by AWS. And this community AMI, this is like you and me, whatever we created our image and placed it into the community center, and those AMIs can be used by anyone if you want. Okay, so now if you search for Windows, if you need Windows AMIs, Windows machine, if you need Windows machine or Windows server, then you can go for Windows server here. Select Windows and you need what kind of Windows server you need, you can go here. And you have to think while selecting the image, you have to think about if you need any pre-installed software. Suppose you choose this image, what you will find? You will find in Microsoft Windows 2019 Data Center Edition with Microsoft SQL Server 2017 available. Okay, and similarly there are a lot of other things also with image, you can find it out. So you can find it here, like suppose to server 2012 with MS SQL Server 2016 standard edition and 64-bit architecture. All these things you can find it out here. Okay, now let me just come out here and so okay, and if you see it here, we have different kind of images here available, right? So here we have Amazon Linux, we have Mac OS. If you want a Mac machine also, you can get it, Mac machine. Okay, and Mac machines are not free, and you can get Red Hat machine, you can get Ubuntu, Windows, SUSE, okay, SUSE Linux also there. Okay, now how we have to choose? First thing is the free tier. So you have to think about, as you are working and just practicing and doing demonstrations and doing R&D, so always choose for free tier eligible, then you don't have to pay anything for this image. And obviously for your organizations or for your company project, you don't have to choose. If you have been given a work or a solution architecting, to do a solution architecting to choose a machine, then you don't have to choose free tier. You have to always choose for the, based on your requirement, you have to choose the images. Okay, you have to select out of thousands image, you have to select what exactly image you require, you select it and use it. Okay, the free tier has limited things available into that. Okay, now suppose I want this Amazon Linux to use, and it has Amazon Linux 2 AMI kernel 5.10 SSD volume types, and we can find the image ID. This is the image ID, and this image ID is required for further automations, for further cloud automations or infrastructure automations. So we need this AMI ID. Now suppose you are doing learning Terraform or using Terraform to automate the stuffs, you need this image ID, or using Ansible or any other stuffs, you need this AMI IDs. So this is your AMI ID. Okay, now suppose I want to use this image, free tier eligible, select this image. Okay, so now it comes the type of instance you want, choose instance type. So here the list of instance types, I can find it here, all 359 instances available. See, all available instances here. So you can choose what instance you need, and as we are under free tier, I always will prefer the free tier. Okay, so I'll go with T2 micro. Remember, this T2 micro is a free tier one. Okay, and it provides one CPU, 1 GB memory to work on. Okay, so let me select this one. By default it's selected T2 micro. Select, and let's go ahead and do configure instance details. Okay, here lots of things to be added. Now the configuration details, number of instances, how many instances do you want to create with similar configurations? That means how many laptops do you need with similar configurations? Okay, so you have to choose how many machines you need with similar configuration. If you need 5 machines to be created, click 5, so it will create 5 machines. So I don't need 5 machines to be created. I can show you the demo later, but so far I need only 1. So, and here also, if you want to know about these details, you can just one exclamation mark is there, right? Just keep the cursor over here. It will give you, we can choose to launch more than one instance at a time. It will give you some hints. This is a hint button, right? It will give you hints. Okay, purchasing options, you have the option to request spot instance and specify the maximum price you are willing to pay per instance hour. So that means this is the spot pricing. If you want to request for spot, you have to pay. See, for this is the spot pricing available, and they're going to current price is suppose 0.0037, and you have to bid how much maximum price you can pay for the instances. Then you have to bid it here for the spot. Okay, if it is available, then it will be yours, or else if someone will be bid more than you, then it will go to them, right? So I don't need spot instances now. And the network section, if you see the network sections here it is using the default networks. It is using the default VPC. So what is this VPC? This is the virtual private cloud, and we'll have a separate 3 days of classes with respect to, not 3 days, 4 days of classes with respect to VPC. Okay, it has, because the entire network structure we need to understand and work on the entire networking part. So it will be under VPC. So far I have created, I've used default VPC. So what is this default VPC and where it came? Remember, that could be a questions also, that could be an interview questions. Whenever you create an account with AWS, by default it will create one VPC, 3 subnets based on the subnet availability zone. Based on the availability zone, it will create subnets. That means for a Mumbai region, we have 3 availability zone, and it will create 3 subnets. One subnet for one availability zone, it will be one subnet. Okay, so there will be 3 subnets available. See, we have 3 subnets available. So I am not choosing which availability zone I need to place the instances. So that's why it will be automatically chosen by AWS which availability zone or which subnet I need to add it. Okay, so the VPC default, it will be chosen. You know how to what is the default VPC. Now auto assign public IP. What is this auto assign public IP? Now whether you want automatically assign the public IP, either you can enable it, disable it, or you use subnet setting. So when you use subnet setting, based on the subnet setting, it will be public IP will be added or disabled, enabled or disabled. It is by default, use subnet setting, it is by default enabled. If you want to disable it, you can disable it. That means there will be no public IP created as part of the instance or machine created. You will not get any public IP. Okay, you will get only private IP. So this is the host name. Based on the subnet setting, you are not going to create any. Based on the subnet you set up, it will be created. Okay, so as I am using default subnet, so it will be by default, it will be created and managed by AWS itself. Okay, and DNS host name, by default leave it. Now see, all the things I'm giving the default because I'm just showing you the basic parts of EC2 machine or EC2 instance creations. When we come and finish the networking part, that time we'll choose our custom designed network, our own created network space, will add it here. Okay, so far we are going to use the default thing all the time. Okay, now placement group, I'm not going to go for any reservation, because if you are going for reservation, you have to pay for that. It will not come under free tier because you are going to reserve it. Okay, and domain join directly, no, directly I'm going to add it. IAM role. Okay, this IAM role is very important. We already have discussed the IAM role in our IAM classes, but this will be useful in our EC2 permissions and EC2 access. Okay, when we covered the AWS CLI command line part, that time I'll show you what is the benefit of using the AWS IAM role. Okay, now the shutdown behavior. So shutdown behavior means, suppose in your Windows laptop, you'll see here, right, in the Windows icon, if you click it, you'll find some options will be like shutdown, restart, right, and hibernate, like this, right. Similarly, the shutdown behavior, you'll get two types here, stop or terminate. Stop means it will stop your machine. Terminate means it will terminate or delete the machine itself, instance machine, delete the instance. Okay. Now stop hibernate procedure, you can enable it. Enable termination protection means if you select this, what it will do, if you see here, you can protect instance from being accidentally terminated. Means if you select this option, that means if somebody or you or somebody is working on this and accidentally click on the delete button, it will not be deleted. Okay, it will not be deleted. You have to choose these options, okay, for a security purpose. Now enable stop protections, you can use it for monitoring, you can use for tenancy, like see, it is said I am going to go for a PG type of sharing 2 rooms or 3 rooms. So run a shared hardware instance. So I'm going to rent small some infrastructure, some network space on the AWS shared. Okay, I'm sharing my room here. Now credit specification, leave it. File system will have a different class on the file systems. Advanced setting, entirely we have a different class for advanced details. So what we did so far, everything we kept as it is. That means everything we used default. I was just explaining what is being these tags being used for. Okay. So the rest of the things I left it default because we are going to learn one after another on the upcoming classes. Okay, we have a separate class on the advanced details to how to use the batch script and all. Okay, script writing and all these things we'll learn that time, all these informations. Now let's go ahead and add storage. Add storage here. So I'm going to add some storage here, right? We use the instance type. Based on the instance type, it will be there. Now size, we can increase the size. How much size in GB you need? You need 100 GB of data, you need 200 of GB, you need 50 GB or something, but I need 8 GB. By default it gives 8 GB. That is more than sufficient. 8 GB of data more than sufficient for Linux machine to start on. Okay, but for Windows we need at least 15 to 20 GB of storage, and for Windows actually by default it gives 30 GB. For Linux it is by default gives 8 GB. Okay, now what happens, we can simply select this one. I'm not going to add any EBS volume because EBS part we have not started so far. So once we start the EBS class, that time I'll show you how to add a new volume. See, EBS volume we can add, and we can extra volume, we can put it here 200 GB and we can add it here. Okay, so I don't need this one, I'll show you. And that time also the volume type, the EBS type, I'll explain you. These are the type of EBS volume types available. We have to learn all this. We are yet to learn. Just leave it default everything now. Okay, leave it and go ahead and add tags. Add key. Just give a name here. Suppose I will give demo server. I give as a demo server. Go ahead and add security group. Okay, so what is this security group? Let me tell you, but we'll have a different separate classes on the security group also. But let me tell you now what is the security group and what is the benefit of using and how AWS provides security and secure the servers using a security group. Okay, so what is the security group? The security group is a set of firewall rules that control the traffic for your instance. That means you are going to provide firewall access to your server. Okay, firewall access to the port, to the IP, to the server. Okay, so we are going to use the security group, the service called security group, and we are going to use this to provide firewall access to the server. So on this page we have to select what type of access do you need for this server. Okay, so either you can use two options available in assign security group type, you can create a new security group, or you can choose the existing one. Okay, existing one. If I select existing one, I have these security groups available. I can use this security to group to use it. Okay, now suppose let me create new security group and give a name to this. I'll give as demo demo sg demo sg. Okay, just copy this and you can leave it, or you can just give it here. Demo sg created on this date and this time, that's fine. And you can see here what the type of protocols, and here is the protocol and the IP addresses I have given and for firewall accessor to given to access. Okay, so what is this actually? So this security group, we are going to give access to this protocol, SSH protocol. By default SSH protocol port is 22. Okay, and the source where you want to give access, custom anywhere my IP. Anywhere means anywhere in the world, like public can access this machine. Anyone can access this machine if they know the credentials, if they have the certificate, if they have the public key. Okay, then only they can access. That does not mean that if you give public here, that does not mean that anyone can access the server. No, if they have the credentials like user ID, password, if they have the certificate, if they have the public key, they can only access to the server. Okay, and if you want only few IP addresses, like few machines to access the server, then you can provide the IP address here. Suppose my IP address is 34.12.42/32. This is my IP address. Okay, only I can access. If I want to suppose give Sunil's IP address here, okay, then what will happen here? Sunil and myself can only have access to this server using port number 22, and no other ports we can access to the server. With no other ports we can access the server. Okay, for the demo purpose, let me give us anywhere. That means, so anywhere we can give us like public. Okay, so I'll give the custom. So what happened here? It gives warning. That means the rule with source of 0.0.0.0/0 allows all IP address to access your instance. That means in the world everyone can access. That means we made it public. So if you give IP address like 0.0.0.0/0, it means you are going to give public access to the port to access the through this port to access the server. Okay, done. Now let's go ahead and launch your first instance. You just have a look, everything good. Now click on the launch, and here you have to choose the key. This is the certificate. This is a public and private key combination. This is the certificate and key pair you need to connect your machine. Okay, so I have suppose already choose an existing key pair. I already have a key pair available, so you can choose it here. If you don't have a key pair, create a new key pair, give a name to the key pair. Okay, select RSA or the type of key pair you need. Just give select always RSA. Okay, give a key pair name. Suppose I'll give demo key. Okay, demo key, and you have to always download the key and save it somewhere securely in your laptop, so that nobody will have access to your key. Because if they will have access to the key, they can using that key they can access your server. Okay, always download it and save it somewhere. I downloaded it. Okay, now what will happen? Just launch, click on the launch instance. You need that key to connect the server. Okay, you have to keep it handy. If you lose it, you cannot able to connect your server. Okay, So you have to recreate the key, or you have to terminate the instance, then you have to do lots of other things to get back it. Okay, now what I'm going to do, our instance is launched. Go back, click on the view instance. So in the instance dashboard, you can see here I have now two instances already. One is in stopped state and another was in running. So if you see here, this server just now we created instance ID, and we need to get this ID, instance ID, for do further automations with different tools. You have to use this instance ID. Okay, now you can see here instance says running, type is T2 micro. This is the free tier T2 micro. Okay, let me good point to tell you to remember. AWS provides 750 hours of free computing hours. That means 750 hours you can start a machine to run. But there is a tricky point here. That machine you can run up to 30 GB of storage. The volume, the EVS volume, that provides up to 30 GB. Okay, up to 30 GB. If you have a machine created more than 30 GB, that means up to 30 GB is free, the rest they will charge you. Up to 30 GB is free, the rest they will charge you. Okay, that's one part. Another part, one computing machine is 750 hours. If you started two machines, that means 750 hours is for one machine only. If you started another machine, then you have to pay 750 hours extra for another machine. So be careful. Whenever you are not working, just stop the machine. Okay, that means the machine will be stopped. You are not going to use it. Okay, and if you are not going to use it, you don't need the machine in future, you can simply terminate it. You can simply terminate the machine. Okay, so okay, I think okay, fine. So you can terminate the machine here. Now we can see here the machine has started. And if I click on this instance ID, just click on this instance ID, you will get all the informations related to the machine. All the informations related to the machine. This is the instance ID, public IP. This is the public IP, private IP, okay, and DNS name, okay, public DNS name, and this is the host name, right? Public host, and this is the host name. By using this host name, you can connect to the server by using the public name or public IP or the host name. Instance type, BPC, IP addresses, okay, public IP address, same thing, auto-assign IP address, and other details also. All other details related to the machine. What image being used, the name of AMI, right? What AMI is used, what is the key pair. If you forget which key pair is used to access the machine, you have to request to the administrator, then administrator will go and check the machine details like this. Suppose you are a developer and you forgot which key and you lost the key, then you have to request to your administrator, AWS administrator, and they have to come and log into the console, and they sorry, they check that EC2 instances and find it out which key was used, and they'll provide to you, and then you have to use that key to log in. Okay, similarly you can find the subnet, the VPC ID, everything, all the informations you can find it over here, right? The tenancy, default. So similarly you have the security also, what is the security group is added, what is the inbound rule, what is the outbound rule. All these things we'll explain in our security group classes. Okay, but still today also I'll tell you, don't worry. Now I'll quickly go through all this, and we have the networking part, we have storage, all these things will go in the later classes. Okay, now so we have created our instances. Okay, we have created our instances. Now how we'll connect to the machine, how will use this machine, how will use this server. Okay, what we'll do, just grab this public IP, just grab this public IP, copy this one. Okay, if you are using Mac machine or anything, just or any Linux terminal, just go to this terminal. Okay, and use, okay, just use ssh hyphen I. I'm going to use ssh protocol to connect, because I have given only ssh protocol access to the machine. Firewall only opened for ssh protocol. Okay, use ssh hyphen I, give the certificate which we downloaded. Okay, I have to provide the certificate. It is in my download folder. Okay, it is in my download folder, and it was given as demo. Okay, I forgot the key then. Oops, I forget the key. Let's search the key. I know how to find it. I told you how to find it, but I will not just go to, I'll just find it here. Start.pem. Okay, this many certificates available in my machine. So okay, this is the demo key B6. This is the certificate, right? Okay, let's clear it out. Use ssh hyphen I. So give the certificate name. You need this demo key hyphen b6.pem certificate name, and use the user ID. Remember, default user ID is for Amazon Linux is EC2 hyphen user. EC2 hyphen user. For Ubuntu, it is Ubuntu only. Ubuntu. For CentOS, it is CentOS. Okay, so remember these three things. For Windows, we have administrator. I'll tell you in the later classes. Okay, for Windows machine, how to create the Windows machine, how to access it. Okay, now get EC2 user at the rate, give the public IP whatever was copied, give the public IP here. Got it? So ssh hyphen I certificate and EC2 user. This is the default user of Amazon Linux machine, and give the IP, at the rate, give the IP address. Hit enter. Fingerprint. Every time whenever you access the server the first time with the new key, it will ask you to add the fingerprint. Okay, so let's add the fingerprint. Yes, good. It gave the permission denied. This is very useful things for you guys to remember. That's why I knowingly kept it to get this error, so that you can understand clearly and fix it. Okay, so whenever, what is the error first? It says warning, unprotected private key file. Okay, the key file whatever we downloaded, that is having full access to public, that is unprotected. Always the private files to be protected, right? What it says, it is required that your private key files are not accessible by others. This private file will be ignored, and whatever bad permission, it has a bad permission. That's why the Linux and this protocol SSH, we cannot using this can connect. It is restricting us to connect the server. Okay, so what we have to do first, let's fix this issue by changing this permission of the certificate. So if I do ls-l and check this file, you can see here these permissions in Unix or Linux, actually the first three is user, the next three is group, and the other three actually others, the last three others. That means everyone is having access to this file, read access, and all the group member, so staff is the group name, all the group member is having read access, and this guy is having both read and write access. So I am the owner, so I have read and write access. Group staff is having read access, others having read access only, right? So what it says, it is unprotected. That means nobody should view this certificate file. Nobody should view this certificate file. So I have to change the permissions. Let me do that. So what I'm going to use, using the command called chmod, change or modifications. Okay, chmod, use, I'm going to use octal mode 400. That means I'm going to keep, so okay, so see here, it actually, the three parts, actually it is having read, write and x. It meant for x executable, read, write, executable. So read in octal format is 4. So total is 7. Okay, total is 7. So 7, the octal number is total 7. Read is having 4, w is having 2, and executable is having 1 value. Executable is having 1 value, w is having 2 value, r is having 4 value. Totally will be 7, 7 and 7. So if you see this permission, it is having 4 and it is having 2. That means 4, 2, 6, 4, 4, 6, 4, 4. That is what it is giving. So the permission 6, 4, 4 for these are 2 open. That means this is having 6, 4, 4 is 2 open. Okay. Now I want to change the permission. So I want to restrict the permissions of others and groups, and I will only have read access. Okay. So what I can do, give only read access to user, others groups 0, others also 0, no access, right? Just copy the certificate here, paste it. Now if I do this, I can see the permission has now changed. It was having 644, now it is having 400. You are clear? You also got clear about the Unix part, little bit got ideas on the Unix permission related stuff, right? Good. Now let's clear the screen and use the command to log in again. So I'm going to use ssh-i and the certificate. Now the certificate has write permission. Use the credentials to log in. Hit enter. Cool. Now see, I can able to connect to the Amazon Linux 2 MI. This is my Amazon money machine. Here if I do here pwd, I can have this home directory. If just you name Linux one. Okay. See, Linux M2 Amazon 2 processor. This is the domain name and all these details we can find it over here. Okay, fine. So this is the server. I can able to connect it. So you'll be thinking, right, this is what the terminal ways I can able to connect it. But there is, whoever has worked on the PuTTY, right, there is a tool called PuTTY. From Windows you can able to connect to your terminal. So because most of you are using the Windows machine, from the Windows machine to connect to the Linux server, remote server, we have to use a tool called PuTTY. Okay, using this PuTTY we can connect to the machine. I'll just give you that ideas. I don't have a Windows machine with me now, but I have prepared a video how to connect Linux remote machine from Windows server, how to set up, and you need the certificates to set up in the PuTTY first, and then using PuTTY you have to connect it. Okay, I have created a video. I'm going to share that video with you, so that, and just go to the video and you'll find easiest way to connect your Linux server. So this is a task to you guys. Go home, create an EC2 instance or create a machine of any image. But first I'll suggest you to try with Amazon Linux 2, because I have explained you all this with Amazon Linux 2. For Ubuntu, if you are using, remember, you can follow the same ways, but instead of EC2 user, you have to use the user ID called Ubuntu. Okay, then it will work. Okay, but you can use Ubuntu. If you are using CentOS, then you can use CentOS @IP address. You can connect to the machine. So this is a task. Go ahead, play around it, create EC2 instances, and try to connect and do that one. Okay, now so I'll share you the video with you so that you can go with the putty setup in your Windows laptop. Okay, I'll I'll tell you now. So our machine is set up. Now if you want to install something on this server, there are few Unix commands and Linux command. I'm going to tell you to install and access the server. So for your fun and for to know something, let me just quickly go ahead and install an Apache HTTP server. It's the simplest server to install and play around it. Okay, so what we do first, let's go ahead. Okay, before installing any software or anything, let me just update the operating system. So how we'll do it? Just do yum update yum object hyphen yes. So before that, always make yourself root. So you have to use sudo yum. So what is this yum? So few of you are not sure about this Linux commands and all. Let me just explain you. So sudo will be the super user. Sudo like will be giving the root access to execute the command. Okay, and yum is a package manager of Amazon Linux. Yum is a package manager which will having the appropriate package to install or update. Okay, so similarly for CentOS also we have package manager yum. For Red Hat we have yum. For Ubuntu we have apt or apt-get, apt-get or apt. That is the two package manager for Ubuntu. And for Linux, Amazon Linux, you can use yum package manager update-y. So why you need to update it? Why we have to update actually? The thing is, so the image whatever, let me just little explain, you'll get more ideas on that. Okay, so the image what we used, right, that image might have been created a long back by the AWS community or by the community globally, right? Suppose 6 months old AMI, it's there, it's not updated. In between there are lots of libraries, binaries and kernel has been updated. So what will happen if you are going to use your applications to run, will be running in the 6 months old operating system, and the software and the binaries will be having old data, right? So to update it to the current version, so you have to use this command yum update, hit enter. So it will just update. Now what happens, the image whatever we use, it is up to date actually. So there are no packages marked for update, nothing is there to update. Okay, that's well enough and that's very good. Now what we can do, let me install the software. Okay, I can just use sudo yum install httpd. So you'll be saying, what is this httpd? This httpd is the package name of Apache HTTP server. This is the package name of Apache HTTP server, and this package is available under this yum package manager. This will manage this package. This is available under this package manager. And what instruction I'm giving, I'm going to install it. Simple, right? Hit enter. See, it is installing and it has successfully installed this package. Okay, now, and the required dependencies also has been installed. So what we can do now, let's go ahead and access the server. Let's go ahead and access the server. How I'll access this server? First thing, let's see whether the HTTPD server has installed successfully or not. Okay, so if I do systemctl status service name or package name httpd, okay, good. So what it says, httpd.service is available, it is installed already. So that's Apache HTTP server. That's the name of the server is Apache HTTP server, and it is inactive. The status is inactive and dead. Let me start it. Okay, so I'm going to use the system control. This is a system admin command to start the services in the Unix or Linux machine. Okay, I'm going to use the, so to start this service I have to be make myself as root. Okay, system ctl start httpd. Good, started it. If I see the status here, now we can see our service is running. HTTP server is running. Okay, our server is ready now. So how I'll access the server in the internet? Because this web server, I need to deploy a web application, deploy a website, right? Then how I'll access the server? Okay, for that we need our domain name, we need our IP address, we need our host name to connect, right? So how I'll get it? Go to here to the EC2 page, right? You can find here host name, right? This is the host name. You can find your DNS name here. Okay, public DNS name, because we don't, with private we cannot get the details. Okay, we need the public IP or public DNS name. Okay, so let me copy this public IP. Okay, go ahead and paste it here, hit enter. Okay, so what is happening? It is still connecting, still loading. Okay, can anybody tell why our server is on, right? Our server is up and running, but I am not able to connect with HTTP or HTTPS with our from the web browser. I can connect this IP address through SSH, through terminal, right? But I cannot access through browser, through HTTP. Why? I can access through SSH, but I cannot access through HTTP. Why? I just simplified the questions. Okay, I am able to access through SSH, but I am not able to access through HTTP. If you are listening carefully, you can correlate the things with one of the part which I explained just before. Why? It is not able, still it is loading, unloading, and then it will timed out. See, the site cannot be reached. Can anyone tell why I'm not able to access the server through HTTP? No? Okay. It's because I have not firewalled the HTTP protocol. Simple, right? I just provided firewall access to SSH protocol, but I have not given firewall access to the HTTP protocol. That's why I'm not able to access this IP through HTTP. So what we have to do? We have to change our security group. We have to modify our security group to add the HTTP protocol. Okay, so how we'll do that one? Simply go ahead here, go to your instance sections, and you can find here security, right? Security tab. In the security tab, you'll see the security group demo SG, the security group which was created. Okay, click on this security group, you will be landed into security group dashboard. Okay, page. So the security group sections. Either also another way you can go here, you can go to this security group in the network and security. You can find the security group and select the appropriate security group to modify. So, and also through that way also it did in the instance directly I came to the security group page here. Okay, now if you see here in the inbound group, okay, I have only SSH protocol access. I have only SSH protocol access, but I don't have the HTTP protocol access given here. So what I can do here? Simply go ahead and edit the inbound rule. Now add a new rule here. Select the protocol. I need HTTP protocol, right? Because I'm using through browser through HTTP the server HTTP protocol. By default, the HTTP protocol port range is 8080, and I need to give it to public so that anybody can access through the browser. Okay, now save rules here. Now I modified the firewall and I just modified the security group and provided firewall access to the port HTTP protocol HTTP and port 80. Now if I go here and refresh the page, see, now I can able to access the page. Now able to access the application, right? So this is how you have to work around. Okay, guys, all clear so far? Whatever things are there. So if you have any doubt, we can discuss, or else we can wind up this call for now, and you can go home, do practice. Anyway, you are at home only, so do practice. Just create machines, okay, and just play around it. Try to play around with all the options and try to learn. At least give 1 hour or 2 hours to play around it. I'll share the video very shortly after this class. I just upload into the uh, YouTube, and then I'll share the link with you unlisted. Okay, um, that's all, guys. And for the Windows machines and the rest of things related to EC2, will cover tomorrow classes. Okay, there are a lot more things on EC2 basics also to cover tomorrow classes. Okay, for today, at least you do practice whatever we have learned so far.